Well, at least we won't get to hear people bitching and whining about a woman not winning this season. Hey guys, come over the season finale of Big Brother 18, and yes guys, after weeks and weeks of waiting, finally this has come to an end, and I'm just glad this is a finale, really. You guys know that towards the end, I really started to get bored, and I really was waiting for the end to happen, because not a ton really happened this season, and just like the finale, not a ton happened in this finale, and we're going to get into this finale. As you guys expected, I'm not really happy with this finale. I'm not going to say a ton about it, though, because there's not really a ton to talk about. And I'll talk about the stuff that I do want to talk about, because the stuff I do want to talk about, I obviously do want to talk about. But either way, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's just get into it. Starting off with part one of the HOH, which, let me just say, something for future reference, I think, for next season. I don't know if Big Brother producers are going to see this, but I really think they need to change up the format of the finale, because I think the competitions take up way too much time of the finale. The finale should be us getting to see everyone, a reunion of sorts. That's really what the finale should be. But no, most of this finale was competition wins, and the other half was them promoting Big Brother over the top, which is hilarious in a funny sense, but in a finale sense, this didn't at all feel like a finale at points. At points, it felt like, oh, we'll be back next week, which technically they will be, but this is the end of Big Brother 18, and it just felt kind of weird to focus mostly on the competitions. But we go to the part one of the HOH, and I have to say that I really miss the days when this was actually somewhat challenging, because the part one HOH is absolutely ridiculous. There are cats and everything, and they have to like get rid of this red dot, and Paul ends up winning, no surprise there. Paul's very good at the physical comps, and I was glad to see that he won that one. So obviously it's between Nicole and James for part two. You knew Nicole was going to win, because James does not know shit when it comes to mental competitions. I mean, he has become really increasingly stupid, and I don't know if it's that the house has done something to him, but James in general has just really become very dumb, and I don't really know how to describe it, but James really has not really been thinking things through, and Nicole obviously does end up winning part two, which again, part two was very different than the way part two was done. It really seemed like they were just doing whatever they could to not make them think and to not make them suffer, and I honestly don't know why. It seems like the finale is when it's supposed to be the most, hardest challenges, and the ones that require the most effort, and the ones that require, that really make them suffer and actually hurt them. Those should be what those final competitions should be, but no, this just felt like bullshit competitions. Oh, we'll just throw this in here to make them, make this person win or make this person do well. Oh, we're not going to make them work that hard. I just didn't really understand it. It would have been actually really interesting, I think, to see something that was actually challenging. Then I could have stood here and said, all right, that was actually challenging. But come on, having this like obstacle course where they're running around, and Nicole saying it feels like endurance, is pathetic. Honestly, it's absolutely pathetic. I think this season in general, they've really lacked actual hard competitions, and I think in this finale it would have really made sense to put that at the end, but they didn't. I miss the days of Big Brother 8 with Dan's with the whole Dick and Danielle competition. You guys remember that competition with the rainfall. I didn't even watch that season, but I watched a clip of it. Incredible stuff. I miss the days of stuff like that. But either way, Nicole and Paul in the final, to face the final part 3 HOH, and I really did feel like it was going to come down to them. I had this feeling that that's what was going to happen. But then, of course, we get into the jury segment, which, let's just talk about it, because the jury in general is one of the dumbest, I think, thoughtless juries we've seen in a while. I don't know really what the jury was thinking here, but half of that jury, I don't know if the house did something to them, but they were they were completely dumb, I have to say, and I really don't know what happened. I mean, Devon was thinking strategically, and Natalie, I think, was kind of thinking strategically, and I think Corey was not really thinking strategically. He was just doing whatever he could to comment Nicole, but the fact that he made Michelle cry is hilarious. At this point, I feel that Michelle's crying is staged. I don't know if she actually gets that emotional, and I can't believe she actually got that emotional emotional over something so small and so minute, like Nicole actually doing well. Does the word Nicole just make her cry? Is that just a trigger word? I feel like it's a trigger word for her, and I feel like if I say the word Nicole in front of someone like Michelle, she'll just start bawling, which is hilarious, but it was just it was so pathetic to see, and seeing Dr. Will make fun of her, I thought was hilarious. I always love seeing Dr. Will, question the jury, and I like that he asked him straight out, what has Nicole really done? Because it has been hard to really implement the move that has given her that final two, and we don't really know what that was, but they also are trying to they're kind of struggling with which one it really is, and I'd say Nicole's move is not really doing anything. I'd say that's not really a good move, but that's really what she did do. Somehow she didn't make herself a target. She got the target on other people's backs, and I will say she did do a good job with that. Was she a good player this season? I mean, I'm not going to say she was a terrible player. I think Nicole just got really distracted. I think that's what it is. She got distracted. She got too focused on Corey and getting in bed with Corey and complimenting Corey and hanging out with Corey and doing things in the bed with Corey, and she just wasn't really focused on the game. It was clear to me that this might have been her strategy, but at the same time, I'm willing to bet that she definitely did want to play more, because we know in the beginning of the game, she even said, I'm not looking for a showmance, and for some reason, she went immediately to Corey, and that's what turned me off to her for most of the season. So if you guys are wondering, that's been the real reason why I've really disliked Nicole all season. It's not because of the fact of her voice, it's not because of the fact of her gameplay, it's been that move, I think, is what killed her entire game this season. I have no idea how she's gone as far as she does. I honestly have no idea. So then we get to what I think is probably going to be a very controversial move on most people's part. We go, of course, to the Part 3 HOH, and definitely some interesting responses from the jury. I'm not going to get into them, but some of them were definitely downright hilarious, like Bridget saying she cries, and, her talking about how she cried all the time, and I'm like, well, isn't that Michelle? Because Michelle, we know, is the one that really cried all the time, but basically, Paul ends up winning Part 3, which I was very happy about, and we're thinking that he's going to take James, because we know that him and James made this Final 2 deal, that they were going to go to Final 2 together, and that Paul thought that he was going to solidify this alliance with James, but then at the 11th hour, he decides to actually cut James, and I think, to his credit, that this was a good idea, mainly because of the fact that I think James would have won. I really think he would have, because if you listen to the jury, in every single jury segment, since James has been in the house, and since people have really trusted James, they've talked about how they want James to win. They said James and Victor. So I really think if James would have been in that final two, he would have won. I mean, Natalie would have voted for him. Bridget would have won for him. He had a lot of people on his side, and I really think James could have just won that entire thing. And it would have been really annoying to see him win, because at least Nicole wasn't dumb. At least at least she did things. James did absolutely nothing this season. And honestly, I can't condone his gameplay. I can't really justify what he did, because with Nicole, there is some sort of justification. With James, there's really none whatsoever. I have no idea why James played the way he did. He played a horrible game this season, and I'm glad to see that he went in third place, because James, I think, thought that he was a winner, and he left as a loser, and I'm glad to see that James didn't end up winning anything, because that's exactly what he deserves. He was someone who thought America was on his side, when at the same time, he divided America. He got everyone off of his side, well, except for the house guests, obviously. He got America off of his side because of the fact that he didn't do what we wanted to see him do when, the game initially started. When last season, I liked James because he actually did big things, and when he was HOH, he actually wanted to make big moves. But this season, he didn't want to do any of that, and he kind of just took like a cat nap most of the time, and just kind of cozied up to Natalie and made her do most of the stuff, and she manipulated him most of the game, and he really didn't have a really good read on what was really going on. Most of the game, he just slept the entire game, and I don't know what happened to him, but he became a complete dumbass in the second half of the game, and I'm glad to see that he didn't end up winning anything. So in the end, it's Paul and Nicole, and at this point, I'm thinking, alright, I don't really know what's going to happen. I was hoping for the best, though, because I really was thinking, is there something, with Nicole, I was really hoping that Paul would win this, because Paul just seemed like he would be better talking with the jury. When I've said it before that when Paul is calmed down and when he's focused, he's really good at letting himself be heard and letting his opinion be spoken, and talking about game. He's very good when it comes to that stuff. If you've seen him on the live feeds, he's very good at that. And if you've seen him, times when he's not yelling, he's very good at that. By the way, I have no idea why they consistently were talking about him calling Michelle a cunt. I have no idea why they kept going on about that. It's one word, it's one thing that he said, and it's not like Paulie. The difference between Paul and Paulie is that Paulie bashed women in general. He said all this terrible shit about Natalie and how Jersey girls are all like this and how Devon's a terrible mother. That was the problem with Paulie. He's just a vile human being who doesn't think about what he says. Paul, on the other hand, he also doesn't really think about what he says, but he at least apologizes, and he basically, I think it just kind of came out. I don't actually think he meant to say cunt, I think he apologized after that, and I think the difference with that is that that's really the only bad thing that Paul did. The only other thing that Paul really did is irritate me in the first few weeks of the game. Other than that, Paul, I think, has played a pretty good game, and I don't know why they were so fixated on him saying this one thing to Michelle. If that's the reason why what ended up happened, that's really a dumb reason why not to give someone, 50K. It's really dumb why they did that, but either way, Paul and Nicole are in the final two, and we go to the jury, and I have to say that I really thought that both of their responses were pretty weak. Now, I will give it to Paul in that he did actually answer questions. He let his opinion be heard. He talked about how he actually had to work hard and how he actually had to do stuff, and he's right. I mean, he was on the jury 6 times. Nicole was never on the jury. She somehow made herself safe every single time. She never really had to do much of anything because she was never in danger. Paul actually did have to do stuff. In my opinion, that already is a reason why someone should win. Someone should win Big Brother because they had to work hard. Someone should win Big Brother because they did make big moves. And someone should win Big Brother because they were friends with everyone and that no one really wanted, maybe some wanted to get them out, but they just couldn't get rid of them. That is why someone needs to win Big Brother. That is why Derek was so good at Big Brother. The fact that he kept his target off everyone's back, but he worked just as hard. Nicole tried to play a similar game, I think, but she really failed miserably in the sense that she didn't really do much of anything. Well, she obviously didn't fail because of the outcome of what ended up happening at the end of the finale, but we'll get into that. Nicole, on the other hand, I think dodged pretty much any question that people asked to her. I mean, she's like, oh my god, if I was really like this, I'm sorry, I cling to guys, I wasn't actually like this. Like, it was so annoying. Just answer the damn question. It's not hard. And the fact that she was so innocent, and she was acting almost as if she was completely starstruck, and I get it that maybe she was kind of in denial that she was actually there. I understand that, but you're on the finale, you have a chance of winning. Give a mature, reasonable answer. Don't just dodge the answer and just let Paul speak and be completely spellbound by Paul, because I'm gonna say right now, Paul schooled Nicole. Like, Paul outspoke Nicole. I really think that Nicole did not give really good answers because she didn't really give answers. Like I said, she dodged most of them, and at least Paul gave somewhat of an answer. So I definitely do want to comment him on that. Then we get to the jury voting. We don't really know what's going to happen there. I have to say I did think that Paul gave a really good speech when it came down to it. Like I said, I think his questions were kind of weak. Like, the way he answered definitely was really weak. But again, I think they both were just kind of surprised they were there. It also kind of shows this really wasn't the final two we deserved. I mean, in retrospect, neither Paul and Nicole really did anything that big. I mean, Paul definitely did more than Nicole did, but neither of them really did anything that significant that makes me think, oh yeah, that is the reason why they're there. That is the reason why they're there. There's really nothing of significance that any of the final three did that makes me think that. The only person that really should have won is Victor. Victor is someone that did do some great stuff. He did work very hard, and I think he really should have won the game. And I really think the smart thing would have been to take Paul out. I don't know why Nicole decided to take. Well, obviously I do. She wanted to win, but I'm just saying I think they should have taken, Paul out over Victor, because Victor would have won the game. Again, I'm not saying I'm not saying this would be good on Nicole's part, but I really wish that would have happened, because Paul and Nicole, both of them, just didn't really do much of anything because they had other people to stick by. Not saying that Corey did much, but Nicole didn't do much compared to Corey, definitely. So I thought that was interesting to see. So then we get to their final speech, and I think the speech that Paul gave was really good. Definitely do want to credit him on that. Nicole's speech was kind of just like, oh, hard to follow up, but I did this, and I did this, and I just thought it was kind of weak. I know some people thought it was good. I thought it was very weak, actually. I thought that it very much came across as her just trying to be better than Paul, and her just trying to talk about all the things she did, realize, trying to say, justify her gameplay, which I thought was really dumb overall. But the jury then cast their votes for who they want to win, and I didn't really know what was going to happen here. But then we get to by far the best part of the entire episode. I have to say, this was the part that made me laugh my ass off. I love the way this part of the episode was done. I honestly was in hysterics at this part. Because usually at this point, they bring back, the pre-jury, and they talk about what the pre-jury did, and, everything they did before the game. They literally bring out the pre-jury to say, all right, we know you're excited to see the winner. Well, here we go. Here's the winner. They're literally just there as props, and it's pretty hilarious. I mean, Jose apparently might be coming back for Big Brother OTT, which is hilarious. And I think they're probably going to get most of the pre-jury to come back for Big Brother Over the Top. Because honestly, they leave more of an impression on us than most of the jury in Big Brother Over the Top. The only ones that leave a good impression on me are Natalie and Davon, honestly. The rest of them I don't have much of an impression on. And Victor, too, obviously. Those three definitely leave a significant impression on me, but the rest of the jury really should have probably gone out either a lot earlier or gone a lot further, definitely. And really does show how much of a failure this season was, and especially just showing the pre-jury and just using them as props. I mean, I'm always not for that, but I think just because of the fact that Big Brother OTT is happening, I thought it was just as hilarious as, oh, Big Brother Over the Top is happening, fuck this season. Basically, you could tell that Julie Chen is so over this season. Like, anytime something happened that revolved around the season, she went right to Big Brother Over the Top, which I thought was hilarious to see. And, I mean, obviously, yeah, it wasn't really a good send-off to this season, but again, this season in general just really wasn't all that memorable, so it doesn't really surprise me that the final outcome is what it is. So we get to the winner, and it's tied between Nicole and Paul, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be it. Paul's going to win. This will make up for everything. And then we see Davon. I'm like, oh, she voted for Nicole. And no surprise here, she did in fact vote for Nicole. Now, to her credit, I am happy that Davon voted strategic over personal, because she was one of the few jury members that actually did that. Most of them just voted for who they actually liked and not who actually played a better game. And I think Paul definitely did play a better game, just because, like I said, he had to work harder than Nicole. But to Nicole's credit, again, we don't have to hear all this bullshit about women not winning this season anymore, because every single season's like, oh, a woman hasn't won since this, but finally she has won. It is kind of impressive that she was able to beat a man, but I think it's just really dumb that they voted for her over Paul, especially when you compare their speeches and what they did, and especially since clearly this wasn't a jury that compared notes. I mean, juries need to do that, and this jury clearly did not do that. They were too focused on getting each other pissed off and having personal vendettas against each other, and not really focused on who's still in the house. And I thought that definitely was very annoying to see. But Nicole ends up winning. She's in complete denial that she won, and I'm in complete denial that she won as well. I honestly am not surprised that she's like, how'd I win? How'd I win? Because honestly, I don't know how she got this far either. I don't know how James got this far, and I don't know how Paul got this far. Again, this definitely is not the ideal final three I would have envisioned, but either way, we end the season with the America's Favorite Player, and Victor does end up winning that, so that I was definitely happy about, because Victor, in my opinion, is, I think, the real winner of this season. He had to work so hard. He got in the house 3 times, and why they got him out, obviously, I understand, but I really would have wanted to see him win this season. I think he really was the one that did deserve it, and I think he would have given, honestly, a better response than Paul or Nicole would have, and good to see Nicole win. Again, I'm happy to see that a woman did win. Of course, it's cool to see that a woman was able to beat a man, but just out of all the women, I don't know if Nicole really was the most deserving. I don't know if Nicole really deserved it, and it basically just left a real sour taste in my mouth, but it's an end to the season. I'm not surprised the season ended the way it did. The season was shitty anyway, but that's where the season ends. Let's get into the season overall so I can really talk about where it went wrong and what I thought of it overall. So, as a finale, very shitty, honestly. Very shitty, very rushed, and just really underwhelming, I have to say. And it seems like every finale is getting like this. Like, last year's finale was definitely like that. I think Steve even was a better win than Nicole. Like, he even did more than Nicole did. Nicole did almost nothing. She won HOH twice, and they're acting like she's this great player, and I just don't really know if she was. And I used to love Nicole, as you guys know. I loved her in Big Brother 16, but she actually played a good game then. She actually did play the game. this season, I don't really know if she really played the game that much. It seemed like most of the season she kind of just floated her way. And yes, she did make a bold move in getting Michelle out, but again, I feel like that was personal over. I do agree with Michelle, that was personal over strategic, definitely. But she also got her out because Michelle said she would have gotten Nicole out, so that definitely made sense why she did that. I think that definitely was a strong move to do because that lessened, James and Natalie's allies, and that gave her more allies, things like that. But I just think in general, Nicole really wasn't the most deserving winner. But either way, let's talk about the season besides the finale. Besides the finale, this season really wasn't that great, as you guys know. I was not a fan of the season, as I think most of you weren't. But I'm going to say right now, the problem with the season is not the vets or the players, it's production. They really were the main problem this season. The problem with the season that production didn't really understand how once you set something in stone, that needs to stay in stone. Remember the teams? They never talked about that again. Remember the round trip ticket? They never talked about that again. Remember the roadkill? Yeah, they never talked about that again. Remember the buyback? They never talked about that. And by the way, I did love how Victor said that they're expecting him to come back in the house. That was by far the funniest part of the entire night. I love it. Besides, of course, bring back the pre-jury. I thought that was hilarious as well. But just in general, I thought production really ruined the season in the sense that they just tried to add more and more twists to this season when that's not really what makes a great season Big Brother. What makes great season Big Brother is seeing power players, play against each other and make big moves and sabotage each other's games and actually have something going on. The problem was the season was so focused on let's make a bigger twist and who can we get out and who's more of a fan favorite and what do we think of the showmance than it was on actual great gameplay. Last season they got rid of most of those twists because we had such a great cast, but this season the cast I think needed a little bit more of a boost, and because of the fact that there was so many twists this season, that's why the season failed. And I think we could have had a much different season if there wasn't a buyback and if there wasn't a roadkill and even if there wasn't vets coming back. I think this could have been a much stronger season if it was, if the twists weren't there. Definitely I would have, maybe some of the twists you could have had, like the vets coming back, yeah, I could see that, but the teams, the roadkill, all that stuff could have just gone away because all they did was lessen the gameplay, and that really just made the season really underwhelming and really just unmemorable. And that's the exact problem with the season, that it's very unmemorable. When I look back at the seasons, I can't really see myself going back and rewatching the season. And I do this every single summer. I've told you guys. Every single summer, I go back and I watch previous episodes of Big Brother just because it makes me remember, oh, that season was so great. Why can't this season be like that? I do that every single season. But this season, I can't see myself doing that because there were only a few things I really did love about this season. There was that one week when Paulie was evicted that the game was suddenly exciting, but the next week, the game would go back to being the same, standstill. It seemed like no one really wanted to do anything that big because, oh, God forbid we get our best friend out, or oh, God forbid we get out someone that we don't like, or oh, God forbid we we target someone who could win the game. Like, it didn't seem like anyone wanted to do anything that big, and it really pissed me off that they did that. And that's really why I'm going to give this season of Big Brother 18, honestly, and this is the honest truth, this is why I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 or a C minus. As you guys know, not a fan of this season. I want to love the season a lot more. It started off really good. I think the teams in general, it started off really good, but once more twists came into the game, and once the teams ended, and once people went more out on their own, and once we got rid of big power players, the season really started to die down, and it became less of who's going to win and who's more deserving, and more of when is the season going to end. And that is not at all how I should feel watching Big Brother, and hopefully Big Brother Over the Top can, in fact, redeem that. But I'm not going to lie that I have actually really enjoyed reviewing this season for you guys. It's actually been a lot of fun to rant and rave about what I've liked about the season, what I don't like, because I like getting my opinion out there, and Big Brother is such a large fan base that it's always fun to hear what people are thinking about the season. Seeing people get called out was just a lot of fun to see, and definitely in retrospect, that's going to be something that when I think about the season, that's something I'm definitely going to remember, is what fans had to say and less of what actually happened. But again, that's not at all what I should be feeling when I watch a Big Brother season. Which, by the way, they already have a fan thing with Big Brother Over the Top where we can decide if we want to see Jason or Jose back. honestly, I might vote for Jose because I'm just that interested in seeing what he's actually going to do and if he can actually stir up things. Obviously, I want to see Jason back, but if Jose comes back, that could actually be really fun to see. I'm going to watch Big Brother Over the Top. I'm definitely going to review that for you guys, and hopefully that is the season that Big Brother 18 is going to be. That's why they're doing that, because I really think they know that this season failed and people are not a fan of this season. We're not going to talk about this season, in hindsight. And really, when you think about it, this season does not really have anything that memorable to it unless it's something negative. There's nothing positive really to look back on except for a few things. And again, all of them are just very underutilized and not really a lot to talk about. But either way, guys, this season of Big Brother finally is over. I'm just glad that it's been very long, and I really do think that they need to trim things down. I'm glad that Big Brother Over the Top is only 10 episodes because, honestly, I'd rather watch 10 episodes of the show than have to watch 99 days of this, which is insane that they were actually there for 99 days. Either way, guys, let me know what you guys saw this season overall. Did you think that Nicole deserved to win? What did you think of final two? What do you think of the jury? What are you gonna watch Big Brother Over the Top? Let me know what you guys thought overall, and I will see you guys in my next one, which will be for the season finale of Mr. Robot, which, guys, I cannot wait for that, and I will see you guys for that, which hopefully is a lot more eventful than this finale, which was basically a half, finale and more of Let's Promote Big Brother OTT, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.